How do I deal with emotions and stress without suppressing them into the deep, dark place and exploding on somebody who didn't necessarily deserve it? Before we get into this, I want to share one of my favorite comedic bits from a guy named Mike Goodwin. He's at Bowtie Comedy on Instagram. And he has this bit that goes like this. In life, there's only two things you got to worry about. Whether you're sick or whether you're healthy. If you're healthy, you ain't got nothing to worry about. But if you're sick, there's two things you got to worry about. Whether you're going to get better or whether you're going to get worse. If you get better, you ain't got nothing to worry about. But if you get worse, there's two things you got to worry about. Whether you live or whether you're going to die. If you live, you ain't got nothing to worry about. But if you die, there's two things you got to worry about. Whether you're going to go to heaven or whether you're going to go to hell. And, oh, man, his delivery of it is so good. I highly recommend going to look at that. Mike Goodwin, Bowtie Comedy. Now, we're going to get into this, right? Dealing with your emotions and your stresses in life, especially for the dads out there who, it's Men's Mental Health Month. It's the month of June. And a lot of dads just notoriously carry the stress and don't have healthy outlets or don't have the community or the setting to say, let's warmly open our hearts up and express the things that are really bothering us today. And you're going to receive it in such a warm way, and you're in a safe space to do so. Not all dads have that. In fact, very few have that, I would wager to say. So we're going to get into that. We're going to get into how to deal with these things and some tools, some tactics, some strategies, some overall mindset shifts to hopefully help you not explode on somebody who didn't necessarily deserve it just because you have things piling up, and you don't really have a good or an effective way of dealing with your emotions and the stresses of life. So the very first thing that I would say you need to do, in my experience, this isn't just in this sort of dealing, but it's in anything you're dealing with in life, is know what you're dealing with. So one of those ways that I do this is to know my status, let's say, know how high of a threat level am I operating on for my, explosive nature, let's say. If I'm going to feel really upset about something and explode on somebody, what level on that kind of DEFCON 1, 2, 3, 4 meter am I at? And one of the tools, one of the ways that I do this very effectively, and now my family uses this very effectively since I started using it, is to gauge myself every day. So it's something that I call a mood meter. Now, if you are already in the Better Dad Bulletin, if you've already signed up and joined, it's a completely free weekly newsletter. And this is something that I sent out to everybody that's in the newsletter. So if you're listening to this and you're already in there, you're already in the Better Dad Bulletin, you already know what I'm getting at here. But the mood meter, I'm going to hold it up to the screen here. For those that are watching, I have a little screenshot. This lives on our fridge. So let's see if we can get this camera to focus on this. Come on, baby. Hello. Not happening. Not happening. Not happening. Zoom out a little bit. Zooming out. Zooming out. Zooming out. Oh, man. Not the greatest. Let's see if I can do a little bit better here. But essentially what it is, to describe it, is a meter. This is horrible. I should have grabbed the paper right off of my fridge. So I'll describe it. Essentially, the mood meter is this. It's a simple scale, -10 to +10. So you have -10. I have on here miserable. And then you work your way up. It gets a little less. You get upset, you get anxious. And then at 0, that's like completely neutral. You're like, oh, man, I don't feel one way or another. I'm just kind of existing. I don't feel terrible. I don't feel bad. I don't feel good. I don't feel ecstatic. I'm here. So I put that for 0. I put meh. I just feel meh. And then You work your way up to the positive numbers, positive 1 through 10, and you have, determined, cheerful, happy, all the way up to ecstatic. Now, the mood meter, super simple thing. It takes literally less than 10 seconds to do every single day. And I don't just use this for myself. I don't just use this when I wake up, although that's what I recommend doing is when you wake up, you roll out of bed and you go, okay, how am I feeling today? Check the mood meter. Where are you at on the mood meter? I do this several times a day, even when I'm traveling. For example, I was on the road, a couple states away 2 days ago, and I'm checking in back home. I text Jeanette, how are you doing? Where are you at on the mood meter? And this is going to allow a few things. For one, especially when you're getting your family involved with this, it allows you to get a feel for where they at, what are their needs. And I have a 3-year-old, I have a 1-year-old. My 3-year-old does the mood meter too. Like, hey, where are you at? And there's pictures on there. I have little emojis that it makes it easier to just kind of point to it. Oh, I feel this. And, he's 3 years old. A lot of times he's feeling a positive 10. So it's good stuff. But if he's, not feeling so great to start the day, then I know, okay, let's see what we could do. Same thing with Jeanette. If she's like, I'm kind of at like a -2 right now. It's not miserable. It's not terrible, but I just, not really feeling it today or not really feeling it right now. That just pings me right away. Boom. I know that I can do whatever list of things to help her move up in the mood meter. The same is true for myself. If I know where I'm at, if I know I'm sitting at a -8 to start my day, then I might have a grocery list or a laundry list of ways that I can bump myself up the mood meter. And that's a very important thing to do. So, one brainstorming activity you could do is look back over the last 5 years, 10 years of your life, and then also look back at your childhood and go, what are some things that I did or do that instantly put me in a better mood? And ideally, we want to focus in on the things that you can do anytime, any place, anywhere without having to have an exorbitant amount of resources. So, some examples of this for me, push ups. If I do push ups at any point, it just boosts my mood right away. Another thing is dancing. If I dance at any time, any place, whether it's like out in the middle of a huge public gathering where it's very awkward, that still boosts my mood because it's like, oh man, this is kind of silly and borderline taboo to do, whatever. And same is true when I'm by myself. Dancing will immediately boost my mood. A smoothie, a really delicious smoothie. Now, that takes resources. That takes me getting somewhere where I can get a hold of a smoothie. Dancing, I could do anywhere. I don't even need music to dance, right? So you want to focus in on things that you can do anytime, any place without resources. But that doesn't mean to just eliminate the other things that do require some resources. So hiking for me, I can't do that anytime, any place. But if I have access and I'm really down on the mood meter, especially multiple days in a row, then maybe a hike is exactly the fix. And in fact, that's what we do in the family. When I notice that, Jeanette's she's got a few days she's been riding a little lower than we like. And same thing with the kids when they're, feeling a certain way on the mood meter. I know that I just need to get them out in nature. It's like, let's go. I'm going to pack them up, whatever window of time I can make for us to go out, go on a little hike. And luckily here in the Northwest where we live, I mean, you could drive 10 minutes and you're in deep, dense woods, beautiful water features and all this stuff. So knowing where you're at in the mood meter is super important. Knowing where your family is at. And family meaning, as always with Dynamic Daddy, it's not just your blood family. It's not just your immediate family. It's also your community, right? The folks that are in the Dynamic Daddy community. The folks that are in the Better Dad Bulletin. I consider you family. I would want to know where you're at on the mood meter. If you are riding really low communally, I want to know so that I can help. In fact, that's how I even came to this topic to bring up for this podcast episode is I polled my friends on Instagram and I said, hey, if you could get into my brain and pull anything out, anything at all, what would it be? And one of the responses was, how do I deal with emotions and stress versus suppressing them into the deep, dark place and explode? So that's how we're here. It's because I genuinely care about where you're at on the mood meter. I really want to bump you up higher and higher on the mood meter. And it's helpful if we know where each other are at so I can meet you where you're at. You can meet me when I'm having a down day. If I'm aware of this thing to start the day and I go, man, start of the day, mood meter, -6. I know that anyone I'm interacting with through that day, it's not their fault. I've already acknowledged that I am the one feeling this way, which is totally okay. And when I'm interacting with other people, if I feel like, man, I'm kind of getting triggered, I at least have another barrier, another layer that explosive internal, lava, the magma that's boiling up. I have another layer of defense to before I just explode on somebody randomly, because I'm like, oh, I'm aware that I was already starting the day. It's not this individual. So that awareness is really helpful. The mood meter, if you do not have it, join the Better Dad Bulletin, send me a DM, whatever, I'll send you the mood meter. And then another key thing that's helpful here. Oh, I just realized I didn't even add. So if you want to join the Better Dad Bulletin, better-dad-bulletin dot beehive.com. And Beehive is spelled Beehiiv. So better-dad-bulletin.beehive.com. Now, we're on the mood meter. We know where we're at. We know some things we could do to bump ourselves up the mood meter, right? I'm just, oh man, I have these emotions, I have these stresses, I have this. Wherever you're at in the mood meter, you have your list of things that can bump you up the mood meter. That's great. That's really useful, especially when you are aware enough to say, man, I see this and I don't want to live at the level that I'm at on the mood meter. I, in fact, want to live at a higher number and vibrate at a higher vibration level. There's also a key thing that I think would be really useful to understand for folks that maybe aren't so attuned to their emotions or have a very high EQ, right? Your emotional intelligence. And that's a distinction, especially for dudes. It's a distinction between I am versus I feel. A lot of times we're like, I am angry, I am pissed, I am frustrated, I am this. And those are all not accurate. Those are sort of owning or you're claiming those as your identity, which is not accurate at all. For one, not any one of us is one of the little seven dwarves where it's like, oh, I'm sleepy and you're just always sleepy, or I'm angry and you're just always angry. That's not us. That's not humans. That's not how we operate. That's not how we exist. What we do have is feelings. We have these moments. Some people have more moments of joy. Some people have more moments of despair. Some people have more moments of anger. But that's I am feeling, not I am. So one of the ways you can kind of already spin this for yourself in your favor is to completely stop owning whatever that feeling is. So if you're feeling stress, if you're feeling anger, if you're feeling this buildup, it's not I am angry. So cut that language out and change it to I am feeling. I feel this way. Because that's just acknowledging in the language itself, it's acknowledging that this is not who you are. It's just something you're experiencing right now. That is a big shift. I know it sounds silly. I hear this and I still, even to this day, I still think of it like logically, that's so silly. My feeling is my feeling. Who cares what I say, what words I use to identify it? Like the feeling is the feeling. But the reality is the way that the brain works, the way that the body works, the way that psychology works, the way that we work as humans is when we attach ourselves to an identity, it's so much stronger. It's so much more intense, which is why it's so impactful when you can build community and say, I am this person. I am a dynamic dad, right? That's something where it's different from just like, yeah, I'm a dad. You know, a dad versus a dynamic dad is like, dude, you're a dynamic dad. You must do a lot of different things, juggle a lot of different stuff at the same time, or have a lot of different interests, or show up in a lot of different ways and work constantly to try to improve yourself. That's very different from just, yeah, I'm a dad. There are dads who are shit dads, who are terrible dads, who are non-present dads, who are all kinds of different things. So language does matter. I know it sounds silly. I still feel that way sometimes where I'm just like, does it really change? And yes, the answer is yes, it does. So stop owning the feeling as your identity and just own it as an experience you're having in the moment. That's that. Now, because I know exactly who wrote this message in, and I have respect for you, and I know what, at least a little bit, what your life looks like, I want to say and address something specifically in your lifestyle that you can do to apply this. And you being a jiu-jitsu practitioner, I want to say this is something that you can practice and you can treat like jiu-jitsu, right? You don't go out and compete every single day or every time you step on the mat isn't a tournament. It's not a jiu-jitsu competition. What you do is you go, you drill, you learn new techniques, you drill, you practice, you roll, and eventually, at some point, very spaced out, you have competition where you're putting it to the ultimate test. You can do the same thing in dealing with your emotions and dealing with your stresses. So the mood meter, can you practice it? Yes, you can practice it. Super easy to do. But what about the other ways that you deal with stress and you communicate dealing with your emotions? That's where it's a bit challenging, right? Especially for dudes. Like, we don't necessarily have the same toolkit or the same training or same experience of emoting as ladies do. So, what do we have to do? We just have to practice. We have to drill, we have to learn techniques, and then we have to roll. And that's something you can totally do. So, what that might look like at home for you is, let's say you just had an explosive moment. You blew up on your wife, your partner, whoever, or your kids, right? I highly encourage this, by the way, doing this with your kids, even more importantly than your adult partner. Your adult partner might understand, you could talk through things, but kids don't understand at the same level that we do as adults. So, very important with kids, especially when you have a blow up moment. It's not so important that you don't have blow up moments, as much so as it is important that you reconcile after those blow up moments. So, some really good research on this. The Gottman Institute, they are basically relationship specialists and around psychology. And one of the key things that the key indicators that they can tell for long lasting healthy relationships, it's not the lack of arguments or the lack of fighting. It's the big indicator of a successful relationship is the reconciliation. Are you able to come together in a healthy way and reconcile after you have a blowout, whatever that is, right? So practice this stuff, right? You have a blow up, you got in a big argument, or you just exploded on your wife, or you exploded on the kids, and you don't like that. You want to fix it. You don't know how to fix it, so you're like, man, should I say sorry? Well, if I say sorry, am I going to apologize correctly? Because there are different ways to apologize, right? You could say, hey, sorry about that. You could say, I'm sorry that I hurt your feelings. I'm sorry that I blew up at you. You can also add things to it like, hey, I'm sorry that I exploded like that. That was way out of line for the situation that we were in. I'm feeling a lot of stress and I directed all of my frustrations that I've been carrying at you, and that was wrong of me to do. And I'm going to do my best to not only make this right, but also improve so that I don't have these experiences in the future. There's a lot of different ways you can apologize, but you want to reconcile the situation. And this is something that I'm a big fan of, trying to practice this when it's not a peak situation. So practice this rather than going and showing up at a tournament every single day. Practice this. So if you just had a blow up, or even if things are going fantastically, you are a dad. You can choose what to do in your household at any given time. You can choose what you want to do, no matter how weird, how strange it is. You can say, "Hey, we're gonna do this," and it's your house, it's your family, it's your life. You can do whatever you want. So, what this might look like in practice is to say, "Hey, I want to practice apologizing, or I want to practice fixing an argument, or I want to role play here and just act like we just had a big blow up. Like, remember our last argument where it was about this and whatever happened? And yeah, I know we're over it. I know we solved it, but I actually want to do this in a better way moving forward. And now's the best time for me to do that because we don't have any big blow up moment right now to solve. So I don't want to try to solve the problem when it's at the peak state of the problem. I actually want to get some reps in while we're very low heart rate. There's nothing really intense on the line. So we can practice this and drill it and drill it and drill it. That way, when it's showtime, when it's go time, I can actually show up in a lot better way. And the odds of us healing sort of fracture in our relationship, whatever that may look like, and healing from a big argument or a bad experience relationally, the odds of that go way up because we're practicing it right now. And when things get intense, we don't rise to the occasion, we fall to the level of our training. So that's what this is about. You can drill this. Hey, I want to act like we just had a huge argument and it was about finances, or it was about jealousy because we were out at this thing and I said something or I looked this way or whatever it is. Make up arguments. The top things I would, this is why I went with finance and the jealousy thing, is because I think you should focus on the top problems that couples have. That's a great place to start because it's usually the highest odds of you experiencing it, right? So start there. People argue over finances. People argue over, jealousy and relationships and all these things. So I would start there with your role playing bit here so you get more reps in at a high probability experience. And that is, man, that is something that feels so silly. It's like, why are we going to pretend like we are arguing? Why would we want to do that? We don't want to argue. It's like, yeah, I get that. But we want to because we want to make sure that when we argue, when that time comes up, or when we disagree, or whatever happens, that when we reconcile, I'm well equipped and I just need reps. And honestly, this is a great time to ask your friends, your family, your partner, what are some ways that I could do this in a healthy way? Like, how do you, if you know somebody that navigates conflict really well, ask them. Ask them how they do it. How do you go from I blew up, whether it was like a friendship or relationship or whatever, and reconcile it to where, you ever seen those couples where you're like, dude, they just had the most massive argument. It was huge, like explosive. I've never seen them like this. And then a day later, they're just like deeper in love than they've ever been. There's a chance that they're pretty good at reconciling together, especially if that is an authentic feeling that they have. It's not like, oh, they're kind of dancing on eggshells, acting like everything's good. I'm talking about the couple that they really seem like they are in the honeymoon phase again right after they just had a big argument. It's because they do a good job reconciling. So you can be that couple, you can be those people. That could be you, that could be you with your kids. You could say, "Hey, I totally blew up on you right there. That was not okay for me to do. And I want to make sure that you understand that's not okay for me to do and I was wrong. I also want to make it right. I also want you to know that, that was something that I really don't like doing, and I'm going to try my best to not do that anymore. And I want you to know I love you, and it had nothing to do with you. You weren't at fault here. This was daddy's fault. I'm sorry that, I did whatever I did, insert whatever that action was, shouting, yelling, ran, whatever it is, ran over here, walked out, stormed out, whatever your flavor of explosiveness is when you get frustrated and the stress builds up and the emotions build up, whatever. You can practice that with your kids too. And, role play with kids is great. But I hope this helps you just take all of these emotions and all of this stuff and deal with it. Instead of suppressing it, you deal with it. Now, a couple notes on this that I also want to add that I forgot. I just realized I forgot sharing earlier. If you are really trash at sharing your emotions, if you are not good at emoting or communicating your emotions, that doesn't mean you can't do this stuff, right? The mood meter is a great start. It's super easy. You don't have to explain yourself. You could just say, I'm at a +1 or I'm at a -2. And it's like, okay, can you explain why? Maybe you can, maybe you can't. But just knowing where you're at is going to help your family. And if you're trying to get better at communicating and emoting and sharing these things, and you feel like you really suck at this, but you do want to try this, you do want to try to kind of get some reps in with your family, with your partner, you can literally just start by saying, hey, I really suck at this thing, and I want to try to not suck at this thing. Will you help me? That's that. Just lead with that, and whoever it is going to say either yes or no. If they say yes, that means they are bought into the process of you improving, whatever that looks like. And so you have some tools, some ideas here. If they're bought into it and you guys practice and you go, oh man, I'm really struggling with this, or whatever it turns out to be, you're at least on the same page of I'm trying to get better at this, and I've already acknowledged I suck at this. So no matter what it shows up like, if you just acknowledge it up front, hey, I'm not good at this thing. I want to get better at it. I would love your help if you're open to it. And from there, you don't have to know how to do it necessarily. You just have somebody that you could trust that's on your team and will help you work through it, and you'll start to sort different ways out. Now, this is another key point. Everybody's so individual. This is like financial advice, or legal advice. It's like, oh, this is not financial advice. You should seek your own counsel. You should seek this, da 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 da. I totally feel the same relationally. Every relationship is different. Every chemistry between two couples is different. So these are tools. These are tools and tactics and strategies that you can use, but you can also and should also customize these, make them your own. One example of this is when I made the mood meter, I showed Jeanette and she's like, this feels off. I was like, what do you mean it feels off? She's like, well, the I can point to it specifically here. Let me pull it up. She's like, well, you have for +1, you have determined, and then +2 is cheerful, +3 encouraged, plus encouraged, +4 pleased, +5 happy. And she's like, +5 is happy, +7 is delighted. She's like, I just feel like some of this stuff is just out of order. And I'm like, that's totally fine to feel. To me, I think about it more so in numbers and the emojis, and the name of it doesn't really matter to me, but to her, she's kind of a wordsmith and got stuck on this, like, oh, these are out of order, it should be like this. But the reality is everybody has a different level, a different connotation, meaning a different experience or relationship with words and what that word means and the intensity level of each word. So this is a prime example. Take your mood meter, make it your own, whatever it is, whatever levels, whatever title you want at each level, do it for yourself. But the whole point is every relationship's different. You should customize these things to yourself, and your partner, whoever's helping you and helping you with your emotional intelligence, your EQ, trust them and trust that they really want to help you get better at this, but also understand that this can be customized for you. This is something that isn't just a plug and play. Everybody does it one way. Your whole life experiences are way different from the next person's, way different from the next person's. Yes, there's a ton of similarity and overlap, and there are themes to life, sure, but your life is different, and the way that you respond to certain things is different. So customize it to yourself in a way that's more impactful for you. As always, I'm a big fan of just testing stuff out and see, give yourself 30 days and say, let's try this. 30 days, see how it goes. And then if you need to make an adjustment, analyze it, make an adjustment. Same thing with jiu-jitsu. You roll. When you're done rolling, when you're done drilling and rolling, that's not it. If you really want to level up, if you want to get better at a faster rate, you should analyze what went well, what went wrong, how can I improve, and then execute on those things the next time you get on the mats. So you're getting on the mats in your life, and you're trying to figure out how to deal with your emotions and not blow up randomly on a person that doesn't necessarily deserve it, or even if they did deserve it, maybe you just want better control. Here are some ways that you could do it. Start with the mood meter, get yourself in order, and man, if there's anything I can encourage you to do, it's just build your community, get involved, just show up to a community, whatever that is, whether that's this community and, reaching out to me. I love the messages that I get from people. I had a message yesterday that just made my day, and it turned in from a random message yesterday to I'm about to go get some coffee and do jiu-jitsu with this individual who I didn't even know was interested in doing jiu-jitsu until yesterday. So it could be something as serendipitous as that. I hope you take this and just improve your life, upgrade your life. Much love to you. And as always, if you're not in the Better Dad Bulletin, if you haven't signed up for that already, I highly encourage you to do it. We're basically just sharing ways to improve your life. A lot of stuff like this that will show up later on, maybe in episodes or random one-off videos. Those show up weekly in your inbox every Friday. Quick little easy read newsletter. Make your life better for yourself, for your partner, for your kids. That's it. Much love.